Hey, everybody, we hope you're doing well. We continue to pray for you and pray for all of us during this time of COVID-19 and seeing what God has in store for us. But we're going to keep looking at the names of Jesus. In the book of John, there are multiple times where Jesus uses I am with a metaphor, I am with an image. Every time he uses those I ams, it is a reference to Yahweh. It's a reference to his deity. It's a reference to Jesus being God. So Jesus said time and time again that he's God. And he tried to show multiple layers of that salvation or multiple layers of his deity in these metaphors that he linked to the name I am. Now, I don't know how often this happens to you in California or where you live, but just this morning our power went out. It was so funny because we're all online all the time. School is online. And as soon as the power went off, about half of our building walked outside wondering, what's happening? Where did the electricity go? And one thing that happens when the electricity is out is it's just a lot darker. We went down into our garage and it was pitch black. And we are so accustomed to having light whenever we need it that we often take the light for granted. But when we don't have light, the darkness really can control our lives. When it gets dark at night, we go to sleep. When it is light in the morning, we wake up. So both have power, darkness and light, but one is always more powerful. There's never enough darkness that can put out a light, but there's always enough light to put out darkness. And this is actually a metaphor that is used throughout the whole Bible, where God is light and life without God or sin or whatever the other side is darkness. In Psalm 27, the psalmist says, "The Lord is my light and my salvation." So this idea or imagery of God being light is from the Old Testament. And Jesus said in John chapter 8, "I am the light of the world." That he is Yahweh, he's God, and he is like light in the darkness. It was funny as we walked downstairs in the garage to drive out and to look for internet so we could do these videos, so we could do school. We just imagined looking around the garage and all of the dark corners that you couldn't see and picturing playing hide and seek or capture the flag or something, and how your heart would just beat a little faster because you would be scared if somebody jumped out of the dark at you. That the light exposes things that are in the dark. And for the most part, light is always much more comforting than darkness. And in the same way, following Jesus is much more comforting than not following Jesus. Having God become the light of your life that shows you the paths in life is much better than trying to walk through life without Jesus, because it's like walking in the darkness. Let me read for you out of John chapter 8. This is verse 12. It says this: "When Jesus spoke to the people, he said, 'I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but they will have the light of life.'" Now, what's ironic is when he says this. The moment that he says this is after a passage where a woman had been caught in adultery. Now, according to the laws at that time, if people wanted to stone her and kill her, they could. Not saying if you agree or not. It was just that was the typical law at the time. They had the right to stone her because of her decisions and choices. Jesus, God himself, deity, I am Yahweh, steps in to protect her. And he says, if you don't have sin, go ahead and throw the stone. But basically realize that you guys are just as guilty as she is. And all of them walk away. And Jesus steps in the way to protect this woman. But he also doesn't excuse what she did. And he says, leave your life of sin. Stop doing what you're doing and go walk in the light. And then he goes into this idea or image, metaphor for us that he is the light of the world. So he just went through this experience of not just protecting a woman who was in darkness, but confronting all these men with the darkness that they had in their lives as well. That we all have darkness in many ways in our lives. And the only way that we could be free of that is to let something more powerful in, because light will always be more powerful than darkness. As Jesus says, "I'm the light of the world," he is reminding us that in the same way, light is better than darkness. Light is more comforting than darkness. Light shows us things in our path that are hidden by darkness. Light leads us down a better path because we have the ability to see. Jesus and following him will always be the better path. The question we have to ask today is if we truly follow Jesus, like following him is the path of life. It is the path of light, and it is the path that will bring us to freedom and peace and comfort. That's why Jesus says he's the light of the world. God bless.